As you saw, we picked Xavier Worthy, a heck of a football player, number one. He does a few different things. He's a good wide receiver and also a good special teams returner, and he'll end up doing both to start things off with. So it should give Pat another weapon there in which to use.
The Kansas City Chiefs enter their quest for their third straight Lombardi trophy and their biggest addition this offseason in wide receiver Xavier Worthy, who they drafted in the first round of the 2024 NFL Draft, is looking like one of the best up-and-coming dynamic weapons early on in rookie minicamp. And considering the fact that the Chiefs have been one of the most dominant teams in recent memory the past couple of years, and they were still able to get somebody at the talent level of Xavier Worthy, seemingly signals more trouble for AFC counterparts along with other contenders in the NFC. And if all goes right, the Chiefs could find themselves making NFL history next season by winning 3 straight Super Bowls. But how we've gotten to this point where we talk about the Chiefs as one of the best dynasties in all of sports was not a super smooth ride during the 2023 NFL season. They had their least amount of wins since 2017 last year with 11. It seemed like the philosophy of the team had changed from really being an offensive-centric team to just relying on the defense and hoping that Patrick Mahomes could make a few plays down the stretch to steal a win. The offensive weaponry was a huge topic of discussion all year long. They let their leading wide receiver in 2022, Juju Smith-Schuster, leave in free agency, and although he was not a game changer, he did serve as a reliable target for Mahomes. And throughout the season, we saw the struggles of Kadarius Toney and Marquez Valdes-Scantling and what impact it had on the confidence level of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Along in the win column, I can think of a couple instances right off the top of my head where the wide receivers were really the sole reason why the Kansas City Chiefs lost a football game. Starting off in week number 1, you had Kadarius Toney having multiple drops that forced interceptions for Patrick Mahomes, including a pick 6 for Lions rookie defender Brian Branch. You go later in the season against the Green Bay Packers, where Valdes-Scantling dropped a beautiful dime from Patrick Mahomes late in that game to cost them that one as well. And it became very apparent the weak link of the Chiefs roster and how hard it was going to be for Mahomes and the Chiefs offense to really rally throughout the playoffs and bring this team back to the Super Bowl. But in their toughest postseason to date, the Kansas City Chiefs still relied on one of the best defenses in the league, as they were able to hold down some of the best offenses in football to 10 or less points in the Miami Dolphins in the wild card round and the Baltimore Ravens in the AFC Championship. And the magic that Mahomes and Travis Kelce were still able to find in key moments really helped the offense find just enough juice to get the team over the hump. But still, just watching this team, especially towards the end of the regular season, it really did feel like the Chiefs stole this Super Bowl, and it was not supposed to be their year to actually host yet another Lombardi trophy. So as they entered yet another offseason where they were going to be able to make a ton of changes across the roster, it really raises the question, who is going to be able to stop this team in 2024? They brought back most of their key players, excluding a few guys on the defensive side of the ball, starting off with safety Mike Edwards, who signed with the Buffalo Bills on a 1-year contract. Linebacker Willie Gay Jr. signed with the New Orleans Saints on a 1-year deal, but the hardest one to replace is going to be cornerback L'Jarius Sneed, who they traded to the Tennessee Titans for a 3rd-round pick. Sneed had developed into being one of the best cornerbacks in the entire league, but with him needing a lucrative contract and the Chiefs believing in Trent McDuffie to be the cornerback 1 for the team, they elected to cut their losses and get some draft capital in return. But a few other veterans like defensive tackle Chris Jones got extended on a new 5-year contract. Linebacker Drew Tranquill also got re-signed on a 3-year deal, and safety Deion Bush and defensive tackle Derek Nottie both got re-signed as well. So most of the defensive core for the Chiefs last year is going to be returning for another season, but it was really a couple of key offensive moves that I really liked for the Kansas City Chiefs in free agency. They signed Irv Smith Jr. from the Cincinnati Bengals to a 1-year deal, and while the former 1st-round pick has not lived up to his pre-draft expectations, I do think Smith is a good receiving option for a 2nd or 3rd tight end on a team. But the biggest free agent addition was definitely getting wide receiver Marquise Hollywood Brown on a 1-year, $7 million deal. Brown, another former 1st-round pick, is another guy that hasn't quite lived up to his 1st-round expectations, but has still had a solid NFL career, including an 1,000-yard year back in 2021 with the Baltimore Ravens. But what he is going to provide for the Kansas City Chiefs is a deep threat and a guy that has very nice blazing speed. That's been an element of the Chiefs offense that that has been missing ever since Tyreek Hill left. Obviously, Hollywood Brown is not on that same level, but he does provide a very nice speed element that defenses will have to account for in any given snap. But moving on to the NFL draft, I was a fairly big fan of the Chiefs selections. I gave them an A for their draft. Obviously, their first selection, trading up for wide receiver Xavier Worthy from Texas, I thought was a home run. Pairing the guy that had the NFL Combine 40-yard dash record with another fast receiver in Marquise Brown is going to be very scary for defenses. They got a very high upside tackle in Kingsley Suamataia in the second round as well. I don't know if he's going to start right away since he is coming out of BYU and is still a raw player that needs some development. But in the fourth round, I thought the Chiefs got some good value as well with Jared Wiley at tight end from TCU and Jaden Hicks out of Washington State. They add Wiley to a pretty deep tight end core with Kelsey, Noah Gray, and Irv Smith. And then Jaden Hicks in the fourth round I thought was tremendous value, and he's another guy that will be brought along pretty slowly and have a chance to develop with other guys like Justin Reed and Brian Cook already a part of that core. But the headliner for this draft and why I'm so excited to watch the Kansas City Chiefs next season is their first round selection in Xavier Worthy. There was a lot of talk during the pre-draft process that the Kansas City Chiefs could be very interested in the speedster. I personally was not super sold on the Chiefs taking a wide receiver in the first round. I thought they could have gone corner to try and replace L'Jarius Sneed. I thought maybe offensive tackle and try to get some guy that could start right away to replace Donovan Smith, as their tackle play was a little bit up and down last season. But once I saw the trade that the Kansas City Chiefs were going to move up 4 picks, I instantly knew it was going to be for a wide receiver, and more likely than not, Xavier Worthy. Now, Worthy as a wide receiver is really fascinating to me. In terms of height, he's not small. He's over 6 feet tall at 6'1", but he's only around 165 to 170 pounds, which had a lot of teams concerned about his playing weight at the next level. He struggled at times against press coverage in college. He struggled against bigger and more physical cornerbacks. That is why some teams worried about him translating to the NFL game. But the way I view things is Worthy just had to go to a proper situation like most players have to. And if that happened, he would become a really, really good player. And what do you know? He went to one of those teams that knows how to utilize smaller, super fast wide receivers effectively. And when you give somebody that has his physical capabilities to Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, they're going to find a way to make it work. Obviously, he's going to be one of the fastest players in the league from his opening snap, but Worthy's ability also as a route runner is something that is super underrated. He uses his speed and change of direction very nicely to stack cornerbacks and even create some separation down the field. He's also very versatile in the sense that he can play in the slot or on the outside. He played a lot of snaps at both of those positions at Texas. He's also fairly effective after the catch as well, forcing 13 missed tackles and averaging 7.6 yards after the initial contact. So if you put Worthy in a traditional offense and did not help scheme up things for him to get open, get free releases and free space down the field, I could see the argument of him not being able to reach his full potential in the NFL. But with the Kansas City Chiefs and how good Andy Reid is at getting his wide receivers space down the field and also just giving them free releases at the line of scrimmage, I think Worthy is going to be an impact player right away and also blossom into being one of the best weapons in the entire league. We've already seen from some of the released content that the Kansas City Chiefs have posted, we've seen Worthy's quick get off, his ability to stop and start, and how quickly he can actually get out of his break and catch the football. And on top of that, we also saw him participating in punt returns, which I thought was a little bit interesting. With the new kickoff format, I do wonder if Andy Reid will utilize him on special teams to potentially be a really good returner as well. Because of this new rule, we're going to see a lot more kickoffs and a lot more emphasis put on these returns. And Worthy, because of his speed and his ability to bounce off tacklers and pick up extra yards after contact, he could be a really, really good returner for this new system as well. But from everything that I've seen so far regarding Xavier Worthy, I think he is going to be a really awesome player from day one, and the Kansas City Chiefs are really, really gonna need that. I already mentioned their struggles last year with some of their wide receivers, but the one who really emerged and helped the team in the postseason a lot was their rookie Rashee Rice, but he has had offseason issue after offseason issue, and it is looking like he's going to be suspended for a good bulk of the season next year. He had the car crash of him going over 120 miles per hour. There was another thing that recently came out that he is a suspect in an alleged assault at a Dallas nightclub, so I was fairly confident that Rice was going to be suspended after his car crash earlier in March, but now after this other incident, I do think Rice could potentially be suspended for 12 plus games next season. So that means Patrick Mahomes is going to have to rely heavily on rookie wide receiver Worthy, and he's going to need to produce right away if the Chiefs are going to get up to a fast start and find themselves back in their third straight Super Bowl. But I want to know what you think about Xavier Worthy and the Kansas City Chiefs. Do you think Worthy is going to become one of the best weapons in the league, or do you have some questions about his size translating to the next level? Let me know what you think in the comments section down below. But subscribe to the channel if you are new, drop a like on the video if you did enjoy it, and as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next one.